Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to discuss the convergence test made available in Fruits to assess model performance. So let me start first with this example here. Okay, and in model options you have this box here that you can tick, and if you do this then Fruits will generate convergence tests. Okay, so let's press estimate, and what you have here is the worst case scenario, in which no output is generated, and it has to do with the poor quality of the model, and Fruits gives you some explanations on the reasons why no output is being generated. So it could be that your model is too complex, or you have invalid priors and other possibilities. Okay, so heavy model redesigning would be necessary to make this model generate outputs. So let's take another example, and this one over here. Okay, model options, it's already ticked, and let's press estimate, and let's give it a few seconds to see what comes out of Fruits. And a few more seconds. Okay, let's actually start first by looking at the probability distributions, and you can already see that there's something wrong with this model by looking at these probability distributions, because if you look at the source plant you have a kind of Gaussian here, but then you have a peak there with a big gap in the middle, and this is already a good indication that the model is not converging properly. And the same thing for meat, you have a peak here and then another peak there. Okay, and this is reflected in the convergence diagnostics. So if you look here, so plant, that's the red here, so it's oscillating there, and then you have a sharp drop, and then it starts oscillating around 0.2. Okay. You should have a constant, you should have oscillation around one value continuously, and this would be indication of a good convergence. If you have jumps like these, this is an indication of a bad convergence. Okay, and you will notice that reversely for meat, it's oscillating here around 0, and then you have a sharp rise, and then it oscillates around 0.8. And this explains these two peaks that you are seeing for both meat and plant. Okay, and similarly for this autocorrelation graph, if you have high correlations between long legs, as is the case here for meat and plant, this is indicative of poor mixing. Okay, so this is another diagnostic that's telling you that this model is not mixing properly. Okay, these graphs you can copy or save them in a similar way as one would do with the other graphs and Fruits. And there's also this save chains option here, but I will discuss this later on in a separate tutorial where I will discuss how you can combine Fruits and R. So now let's go to a different example. Okay, and this one, yeah, it's already activated, so we press estimate, and let's see what Fruits will now bring us. So let's give it a few more seconds and wait for the estimates. Okay, we have some very nice distributions here. Okay, and when one looks at the chains, well, they are kind of oscillating around a fixed value, but sometimes you still see a few peaks that go a bit more outside. So I wouldn't call this a very good convergence. You can also see this in the autocorrelation, that there are some oscillations here. I would not call this a good convergence. I would call this a reasonable convergence. Okay, so let's go to the next example, which I think this one here, and let's press estimate, and let's see how the convergence tests in this case look like. So let's give it a few more seconds and it should come out. Here we are. So in this case the chains very stable around a value, and these estimates will be extremely precise. You should be able to see this in the box plots also. Yeah. Okay. So here we have very good convergence and very precise estimates. Okay. So final example. Okay, and let's press estimate again. And let's see what comes out this time. Let's give it a few more seconds. And, okay. Now here we also have oscillations around fixed value, but the amplitude of these oscillations is larger, which is reflected in the box plots. They are wider than in the previous case, but I would call this also a good convergence, simply with more uncertainty in the model estimates. And that is it.